Forget everything pop psychology tells you about infant giftedness. A baby who reads flashcards at 6 months is not showing high intelligence. They are demonstrating simple rote conditioning. Real, organic, high cognitive potential in infancy looks completely different. It is hidden inside microbehaviors, how fast their brain registers a visual pattern, how intensely they track eye movements, and how quickly their nervous system processes novel information. Today, we are analyzing 7 scientifically backed subtle indicators that your baby possesses above average cognitive processing speed and high developmental potential. Marker number 1, high habituation velocity. In developmental neuroscience, habituation is the rate at which an infant becomes bored with a familiar stimulus. When shown a new pattern or picture, an average baby will stare at it for a considerable period before looking away. A baby with high processing speed, however, exhibits fast habituation. They look at the new object, extract its geometric and visual data in a fraction of the time, master the concept mentally, and immediately discard it in search of new information. Infants who display rapid habituation rates routinely score higher on standardized working memory and executive function evaluations later in childhood. Their quick boredom isn't impatience, it is high-speed data ingestion. Marker number 2. Hyper-precise gaze tracking and intentional social referencing. While all infants eventually learn to look where a parent points, highly analytical babies track the adult's eyes rather than their hands. Long before they can speak, they monitor your micro-gaze vectors. If you look at a cup on the counter, their eyes immediately jump to that exact cup to decode your intent. This is not just visual clarity, it is the early blueprint for advanced theory of mind, the cognitive capacity to model what someone else is thinking and feeling based on subtle physical cues. Marker number 3, exceptional novelty preference over familiarity. Given the choice between a toy they mastered yesterday and an unfamiliar object with complex geometry, a cognitively advanced baby will consistently bypass the comfort of the familiar. Their brain displays an elevated drive for cognitive friction. They actively seek out objects that challenge their current mental algorithms. If a toy is too simple or offers predictable output, they abandon it instantly. They demand high-density environmental input because their neural architecture craves continuous synaptic creation. Marker number 4, accelerated reach-to-grasp trajectory calibration. Watch how an average infant reaches for an object. The arm moves awkwardly, overshoots the target, and the fingers adjust only after contact is made. In contrast, a baby with high motor integration pre-shapes their hand before touching the object. As their arm moves through space, their visual cortex calculates the object's dimensions in real time, signaling the motor cortex to adjust finger aperture in midair. This seamless synthesis of visual data and fine motor execution indicates superior cerebellar mapping and rapid spatial integration. Marker number 5, early vocal pitch imitation and phoneme discrimination. Before words ever form, language processing speed reveals itself through acoustics. An infant with elevated auditory processing will not just coo randomly, they will actively adjust the pitch, rhythm, and cadence of their babbling to match the vocal contours of the adult speaking to them. They pause, wait for your response, and then reply in the same tone register. This micro-conversational turn-taking demonstrates sophisticated auditory filtering and high-level social processing long before the first word is ever spoken. Marker number 6, high sensory threshold modulation. Babies with high processing speeds are acutely aware of subtle environmental changes that other infants ignore. A slight shift in room lighting, a minor change in ambient tone, or a tiny adjustment in how a fabric feels will be noticed instantly. However, unlike hypersensitive infants who become dysregulated by these shifts, a high cognition baby demonstrates quiet observation. They freeze, analyze the shift, categorize it, and re-anchor themselves. Their brain is processing the environment at a much higher resolution, perceiving nuances that others filter out. Marker number 7. Extended self-directed exploration cycles. The average attention span for an infant exploring a single object without adult prompting is brief, often measured in seconds. A baby exhibiting high problem-solving potential will sit with a complex mechanism, like a latch, a zipper, or a textured surface, and investigate it for extended periods. They turn it over, test different angles, apply varied pressure, and observe the outcomes without breaking focus or crying for assistance. This sustained focus demonstrates early executive stamina and intrinsic problem-solving capability. High infant intelligence is not measured by performance tricks or flashcard memorization. It is reflected in processing efficiency, spatial calibration, and an insatiable biological appetite for information. If you observe these markers in your child, your primary goal is not to force academic instruction, but to curate an environment rich in varied physical textures, natural spatial puzzles, and high-quality conversational feedback. Provide the raw data their developing brain is asking for, step back, and let their high-speed cognitive architecture build itself.